Hey, flower friend. Welcome back to the Field and Garden Podcast. It is your friend in flowers, Lisa Mason Ziegler, and I'm so happy that you dropped in today. And friends, I'm talking about something today that I don't think I've ever spoken about before. And I had an experience that just brought it right up to the surface for me. And I thought, you know what? I think other people would really benefit from hearing this. And so today's episode, I'm calling it, why should you ask your customers this question? So while you ponder that for a minute, let me just remind you that this podcast is made possible by thegardenersworkshop.com, which is home base to everything that we do. Y'all, our website is literally loaded with resources like videos and blogs. You can connect with our sister podcast, Seed Talk. We have a fully stocked online garden shop where we only sell the same tools, seeds, and supplies that we use here on our flower farm, as well as a fully stocked online course library where we have courses from teaching you how to start seeds and have a little home cutting garden, right up to starting a flower farming business, expanding it into bulbs, perennials, woodies, and more, and even growing cut flower crops in hoop and greenhouses, and even more, y'all. We have everything for somebody. And we just are trying to help people embrace their level of growing flowers, whatever that level is, pleasure or for profit. And you'll find it all over at thegardenersworkshop.com. You can also connect with our live gardening show that happens a couple of times a week, where we're demonstrating what we're doing, how we're doing it, what we're doing it with, and you can have opportunity to purchase it. So all of that is over at thegardenersworkshop.com. So back to the topic at hand. Why should you ask your customers this question? So this topic came front and center for me after I had a really great customer service experience recently. And then they asked me the question. And it reminded me that we, business owners, we all need to ask the question too. So you might be wondering, what is that question, right? What am I talking about? And I'm talking about asking your customers for reviews on their experiences with your flowers. So it happened because of a great experience that Steve and I had at our local car dealership in their service department. And so we went and got our car, and we were so happy it was fixed. It was at the exact price they had told us it was going to be. It was just all great, right? And we were very pleased. And so while we were still really happy, they asked the question. And what that means is I was open and willing more than any other time, even though I'm busy, I have other things to do, that I would be the most willing of any time to actually give them a review, right? And that's why I thought right now is the time in the season when people are enjoying and loving your flowers. Now's the time to strike, y'all. And I want to talk about in this podcast why reviews are so very important and how they can just make such a significant impact on a business. And then why do we have to ask for reviews, right? Why don't happy customers just do it, right? And so I want to just start this off at the top, just remind everybody that happy customers are your biggest fans, and your job is to help them share the love. They're willing to do it, but they're not willing to figure it out. They're not willing to remember it. All that stuff that it takes to actually get a review. And so let's just talk about why you should ask customers for review and for their help, right? Why you should. And, then we'll also talk a little bit about how to actually do that. And so first off, asking for reviews is crucial for a business, especially when you're in a niche market like we are flower farming, where customers are all about looking for trust, and social proofing can just make a really significant difference. Reviews can impact the perception of your business. It also does things like that we might not even think about, improve your search engine ranking, but it all rolls up into a big old ball of it increases your customers' trust. And so here are some of the reasons why reviews actually matter. And so, think about, what do you do when you need to buy something maybe you've never bought before, you don't know anybody, none of your friends are doing it or getting it or whatever. So you're looking for somebody to trust and somebody that has credibility, right? And reviews from real customers just boost that credibility. And it just helps customers they feel like they're making a more informed decision, right? I know I have read reviews before where I think to myself, is that a real customer that wrote that? Or do you know what I mean? It's like you've read reviews. We are looking for genuine reviews from people that are loving your stuff, right? And you know what I never thought about? Do you know that reviews are literally the digital word of mouth? Just like you telling your friend over coffee or at church on Sunday or at the garden club meeting or whatever, reviews do that on a much broader spectrum, right? And it can be such a big piece of you attracting new customers. When I go in and I'm looking for something, it just happened the other day, I forget what I was looking for. And I was comparing, it was something probably in the $30 to $40 range. So there was so many choices. And I didn't have a recommendation from anybody. So the first thing I did was look down the list of the products and looked at the number of reviews. And when I saw the one that had 4,000 reviews, the ones that only had 60 reviews kind of fell off the planet, right? I'm not saying you need 4,000 reviews. I'm just saying the more reviews you get, the more confident your customers are. And I think you'll be surprised how easily your customers will give them to you when you follow some of the kind of guiding steps that I'll talk about here in just a minute. So the more you get, the better it is. And it just gives you as a business so much more credibility. And the other thing is, this is also a great place to actually get good feedback about your stuff. You have to first off remember, it's really scary, right, to ask for reviews because you're afraid you're going to get bad reviews. And you're thinking you don't want people to think you need their help. Well, you do need their help. We have to put all that mess aside. You have to take your personal, emotional thoughts and just set them aside. This is business and everything's on the table. You'll do and say anything, not say. You'll try anything that's in a good business practice to move your business forward, right? And that's what part of asking for reviews is all about. Because the other part of this is sometimes you might get feedback that might be a little hard to hear. Yeah, I love Lisa's flowers, and I've been buying them this year, and they are so beautiful, but they only last 5 days. Or they drop pollen on my tabletop because somebody cut the cover crop sunflowers instead of using the pollenless ones. Do you see what I mean? It's like most people that can give and take honest feedback, it just grows you up, y'all. It just helps you reach your maturity level, because you have to remember, none of this information is personal. This is business. And reviews that provide valuable feedback for your business can be some of the best information ever. There's actually a book that I've read. It's where a complaint, what's the name of that book? A complaint is golden, or something like that. It's like, if you really listen to your customers that are complaining about your stuff, first off, they're almost always right. But not many people can man up and take and listen to the complaint. But if you can do that, you will learn so much and benefit so much for your business. I'm not talking about the person that complains every week. I'm talking about somebody that has a valid complaint, and to really listen. And I have a really good listener in my company, and I'm not going to say her name. She knows who she is. When we get a complaint or a remark about something, she's the first one to say, well, you know what I mean? How valuable is that? So that is also part of reviews. You have to be able to take it and make use of it. So this brings us to, then there is the psychological part of reviews, right? So in today's landscape, if you want to call it that, we are always looking to other people. What are they doing? What are they using? What are they saying about it? Social media has just highlighted that. We rely so much on other people's feedback, whether we feel like we know that or not. That's kind of what is happening in a big picture of this social media and just the internet in general, YouTube, all of it. They're all telling us their opinion. And all of that leads to our purchasing decisions. There is really science behind this, y'all. And I've looked at it and studied it, and it is really phenomenal. But at the top of the pile, which is where I tend to stay, you just want other people that don't maybe know you to hear from the people that do know you what they think about your stuff. That's the bottom line, right? So that's why we really need reviews. It's because we're all looking for somebody else's, yeah, I use that. I love this. This is how I use it. We're all looking to that. So why do we have to ask for a review? If people are really happy with whatever you're selling or whatever you've got or your service, why do we have to ask? Well, there's several reasons that I think of. And one of them is there's just a lack of awareness. Customers just are not aware, first off, of how valuable reviews are to a business. They just don't know, because I didn't know, even as a business owner, right? And they might appreciate the service, but not realize that just taking 2 minutes to share their experience could make a significant impact. I've heard so many, the business mentor people that I follow. It's like, what do friends do for friends that own businesses? They don't ask for discounts. They share and like all of their social media. They review all the products that they've used. It's like things that just take, if you really love somebody that has a business, these are things that you would do for them because it means so much to their business. It's not just you showing love. That is you physically helping their business by doing that. One of the things I say in Flower Farming School is it's like, every time you post, if you don't do it every time you post, which you really can't do it every time, especially if you post as much as I do, but once a week, you should send a text message to a portion of your friends and family and say, it would help me so much if you're on social media, to go look at this awesome post I just made and like it and share it. Please. And do it every now and then. People just forget, y'all. We are not the center of their world. Everybody's got their own business of life going on. So people just don't understand how much they help you when they do this. And that's not their job to know that. It's our job to help them be able to do this for us, right? And then the other thing is, I think people assume that everybody loves us and everybody knows about us, which we know is just not the case. I just love it when somebody texts me or messages me and says, I was thinking about becoming a flower farmer, but there's another flower farmer in town. I just want everybody to stop for just a minute and think, how many drugstores are in your town? How many gas stations are in your city? It's like we don't touch but a BB in the Astrodome of the people that know about you. And when people are really enamored with you and your business, they just think everybody knows. I mean, I was under that assumption the first 5 years I was in business. I just thought our flowers were so beautiful and the people that we were selling to loved them so much that people were going to be knocking down our door to get them. Well, that didn't happen because they didn't know about us, right? And so you're not the only one that thinks that. Your customers think that. They think, oh, they don't need me to do anything for them, right? They perceive you as the popular, highest quality flower farming person that is just sweeping your customers off of their feet. And they just don't see that they need to even do anything for you. So that assumption is what the problem is. That's just another reason why we just have to gently help people to understand that we need them. It matters so much to us, and they're playing a significant role in helping your business. And this really isn't about spending another dime. It could be spending 2 to 3 minutes to help you. And then another reason you have to ask and ask again and again is people forget or they just postpone it. Maybe let's just say you send out an email to your customers and you're asking them for a review. Well, if I happen to touch that email to read it while I'm at work or it's during the business day, I'll think to myself, oh, I'll get back to that later. I don't have time right now to do that. That's the problem. That happens to 95% of the messages and the posts that you go out. People just are busy. They either didn't see it at all or they glanced at it and think they'll get back to it. Doesn't happen, y'all. I know I do that all day long. And even with those best intentions, customers might forget to do it, to leave a review, or they procrastinate, thinking that they'll do it later. And without gentle reminders, that can just slip away and they'll just never think about it again. And it's not that they're not happy with you. All the things that pop up in your mind. Oh, I will say that one time we sent out an email asking for Google reviews. I forget what it was on. I guess it was when our website got switched over or changed or something, and we lost all of our previous Google reviews, lots and lots of them. So we sent out an email asking customers to actually review our company, not an individual product. And I mean, like within a couple of days, we got hundreds of reviews. People were like just throwing us love balls. And we just sent out one email. But I will tell you that we'd have probably gotten 5,000 if everybody that saw it and wanted to leave a review actually had time or had gotten a reminder, right? All right. And so here's the other thing. People think it's harder than it is. And they think it might take more time or more effort. I don't know what the official word is, but I will say that back a couple years ago, I know that in the platform that our podcast was on, one of them said, in reading the details of how reviews are read or counted, a review only had to have 5 words to be counted as a review. Just saying great wouldn't get counted. But if you said, I love this podcast, it's great, that counts as a review. You don't have to write a paragraph, y'all, because there's 2 different ways to look at reviews. There's reviews that people read. Of course, the more you say there, the better. But if you're trying to get your numbers of reviews up for a platform like Google to show your company to more browsers, it's the number of reviews that you have. So there's just so many ways that reviews matter to you, so many different ways. And so people think that it requires a lot of time and, long dissertations, and it doesn't have to be that way. And we really have to make it super easy and to help them to understand how they can actually go about it. It cannot be a click here, then click there, then click here, then click there. There has to be a one click, do it, submit it kind of way. And I can't tell you how to do that, but somebody can in your platform, right? Direct links, easy instructions, or they'll just abandon the effort because everybody else is just as busy as you are, right? So what are some strategies to actually ask for reviews, right? So it's literally part of my fluid talk now because I'm so comfortable for asking for them because I understand all this. It's not that people don't want to do it. It's not that people don't like me. It's all these things that we just talked about. They're busy. They don't know how. They don't know you need it. You know what I mean? It's all that mess. So first out of the gate, the same reason that when you were a kid and you wanted something that you were pretty sure your parents were going to say no to, puppy, kitten, new bike, whatever, there was a better time to ask them for that question. You know, you don't ask your dad for something like that when he walks in the back door after working all day and he's exhausted and frustrated and, you know, needs to like do whatever makes dad relax. And that's not the time to ask. Well, it's no different in asking for reviews. That's why out of the gate I said, now in the season when people are loving on your flowers is a great time to strike. It's timing is as important in this, asking for reviews, as it is in when you plant cool flowers, y'all. You want to really strike when there's, you know, positive interactions, and when a customer has expressed satisfaction. And I tell you, when I wrote that, the first thing I thought of was back to the days when we were at the farmer's market. And when you're in your market, and of course back then we didn't have these. It is so easy today for this to happen. If your customers walk into your booth and say, oh my gosh, those flowers from last week are still looking great, or I loved them so much, just say, well, oh my gosh, would you be willing to put that on a review? There's the QR code on the post right there. Scan that with your camera. You can say what you just said and hit submit, and you just can't even imagine how much that would help me. Period. That simple, y'all. In person, it is so easy now with QR codes. So easy. With you standing right there, showing them how to do it if they need assistance. That is so, I mean, you can do the same thing at a farm stand, right? Anything in person. So the number one thing is it's all about convenience. And I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole of how that's how you sell more flowers. We have to make getting domestically grown local flowers as easy as picking them up in the supermarket or having you drop them at their door. I mean, that's what everybody's into. Look how many prepared foods are sold today, y'all. I mean, have you gone into the supermarkets recently? All those food bars, that is the sign that we have to change the way we're selling flowers. Okay, convenience. Make the review process easy and quick so that when I'm going to talk about social, tell you some phraseology for a social media post, a newsletter post, and an in-person post. And I'm sure Jesse will put these in the show notes so you can literally copy them if you want. But you have to put links. There has to be a really simple way for people to just do it the second they read it. You know, my personal methodology of how I get so much done a lot of times, I don't always do it, but my goal is always to not touch anything twice. That means when I walk past something and I see it sitting there, I pick it up and drop it off where it goes on my way to wherever I'm going. When I open an email, I take care of that email. I try not to open it unless I have the time to complete it. And that just means you don't touch anything twice. Do you have any idea how that streamlines your life? Streamlined mine. And you need to do the same thing for people. You need to make it easy and quick by always including direct links or super simple instructions. And so here are some ways, some wording that if I was posting on social media and needed a place to start, because once you start doing this, y'all, it'll just flow out of you, right? So a great social media post, and I'm doing this for the Gardener's Workshop, would be, We hope you're loving your experience with the Gardener's Workshop. If you have a moment, we'd be thrilled if you could share your thoughts with a review. Your feedback helps our community grow and lets us know that we're doing the right thing. Thank you so much for your support. I mean, you can add to it. I would say don't add any more. I'd actually cut some of it. The less, people don't read much anymore, y'all, on the fly. So that would be a great social media post. You could have a link straight to whatever it is that you're thinking that they would review for you. You know, I think reviewing just your company, you know, on your website or on that post. If you don't have anywhere for people to leave a review, if you post that on social media, you could say, please drop below your comment. I mean, you can copy it, you can take screenshots of that, you can pin it to the top of your Facebook feed, or there's just so many ways you could use that, right? And then if you're doing another thing that I recommend in Flower Farming School, and that is out of the gate, you need to start collecting email addresses so that you can have contact with your customers and making little short e-newsletters. And a great newsletter would be, you know, your opinion matters to us. At the Gardener's Workshop, we strive to provide the best for you, our valued customer. If you've enjoyed our flowers, we'd love to hear your thoughts in a review. Click here, clickable link, to share your feedback and help others discover our blooms. Thank you for being part of our journey. You know, I might even change that up, is click here to share your feedback and help other people discover our flowers. See, I don't think people understand that. That would be a great way to open the conversation. Do you want to help other people find our flowers? Click here and leave a review, right? And then, as I just talked about, for in person, we're so glad that you come back to the Gardener's Workshop booth every week for your flowers. I mean, you just don't know how much it means to us. We'd really appreciate it if you would actually give us a review. It is truly invaluable to us and it helps us grow and improve. Thank you so much. Hit the QR code. But I think even in person, I could just see me actually, because I will say that so many people come into your booth and say these things. Your flowers from last week were so beautiful. And that's your opening. Would you mind hitting that QR code and leaving or have you left a review yet? Telling people about that. And if they say yes, I would look at them, smile so big and say, and for that, you're getting 2 extra flower stems. There is no reason why you can't reward people that give you a review, y'all. And for other people in your booth to hear that would be perfectly fine. Do you know what I mean? It's like you want to reward the people that are doing the thing. They took the time, right? So I hope that's given you some energy and some thoughts on how important it is to ask for actual reviews. And then the other thing you need to do is, the other thing that I still struggle with today, is you have to ask again and again and again and again. Gentle, kind follow-ups, whether that's emails. I mean, first off, in your in your farmer's market booth or your farm stand, you better believe I'd be talking about this all the time in my farmer's market booth. If I had a farm stand that wasn't manned by somebody, I would have a message up every week, something cute and sweet, change it every week so people read it, that's asking them for that, because people forget. Asking them and showing your appreciation for them will help them to remember to show appreciation for your business. And just politely requesting. They've just often just forgotten or gotten busy. That's what happens to me. It's like, again, I know my limitations. That's why I try not to touch anything that I can't finish. You know, it's so funny. I mean, I am such a creature of habit. It's like if for some reason I skip watering the grow room here in the morning, like there's something happening at 8 o'clock here that never usually happens, and I don't get to water, and I think, oh, that's only going to take an hour, I'll then water. I never water because I'm in such a creature of habit because it's later in the morning. I don't even think about that room. And that's how life is for a lot of people. And it should become that way for you in helping people to see how much their opinions of you matter, not just to you, but they help grow your business, right? And you can offer small incentives like a discount on leaving a review. There's nothing wrong with that. But again, I think you have to find what makes you really comfortable and able to deliver. That's really easy to do in person. And I mean, I could see at a farmer's market stand, this is funny, that you could have a special little bucket of flowers and just have your sign over there. It says, would you consider leaving a review? Here's the QR code. If you just stand here and do it, please take 3 extra flowers from this bucket on us. And they might be your best flowers. Do you know what I mean? How awesome is that? How much would that show people that it's really valuable to you? Okay, so sharing that feedback really, really helps. And then the other thing is, I just want to say this, and I'm sure that nobody here would even think of doing it any other way. You're really looking for honest reviews. You're not looking for perfect reviews. While positive reviews are certainly fantastic, honesty is the best policy, right? Because both positive and negative are valuable. Just as I mentioned, learning that there's a problem with something is the best thing a person can tell you about. How many times have you left and never gone back to a restaurant or never gone back to a business over something that happened during your visit or a result of the product, but you never told anybody that could actually fix it? I know I'm guilty of that. Think about that. So I also encourage you to read and respond to reviews. Now, if you get hate reviews, trolls, that kind of stuff, those things we just ignore. And just remember this, if you get ugly things that really aren't your real customers, just remember they count. They count on your algorithm, they count on your Google reviews, and just take it in stride, y'all. Other people that read them know exactly what that is. Don't worry about it. All right. So consider making reviews a part of your business strategy. Part of what people should be talking about in your farmer's market booth and on your farm stand. You could put messages on your bouquet subscription drop-offs. There's just so much you could do, y'all, to get reviews. And reviews are word of mouth. And because we are so distant today, people are not getting together like they used to, y'all. I do with my family and friends, but a lot of people don't. And the only way you're going to reach them is through a review on a computer, right? And experiment with which way works best for you. And I'm going to show you how I do it, because I hope that you're enjoying this Field and Garden podcast and that you are picking up tidbits and reminders that help you in your flower growing, whether you're a home gardener or a flower farmer, and for flower farming business stuff, just like about today. And if you have a moment, I would love for you to leave a review on the platform that you're actually listening to this podcast. And if you haven't already, to subscribe to my podcast while you're over there so you don't miss a future episode. Your reviews and subscriptions help me so much, and we read every single one of them, and I thank you so very, very much. I mean, it really does mean everything to us, and that's how you do it, y'all. And so here's something else. People just love knowing about you and your business and what's going on. And so that's why I always mention, and remember that you can drop in over at thegardenersworkshop.com, which is home base to everything that we do. And you want to know the latest thing that's come out on the over on our website, and that is that my newest book, Growing a Beautiful Life, is now out and available for pre-order. And the link will be down in the show notes of where you can pre-order from your favorite bookseller. But let me explain for anybody that doesn't know about just how important pre-orders are for books these days. Literally, pre-orders make or break a book. And because it's all about how the people that are selling books, the big booksellers, how they treat those numbers. And so what happens is books go on pre-sale months and months before the book is actually published. My book, Growing a Beautiful Life, actually doesn't come out till the first week in March. And it has just gone on pre-sale in July. So that's the kind of runway they are asking for in books. All the pre-sales from all the big booksellers, all of them, on that first week in March, they all get counted up, tallied up. And those numbers are what forecast how those booksellers handle your book in the future. Who they show it to, how many times they show it to browsers. Do you see what I mean? It's so important, y'all. And so your pre-order of my book is so much more important than you can even imagine. And I want to just tell you a little bit more about one of the booksellers that I have come to learn that I just had no idea about this. So we all know who the big booksellers are, right? Well, there's one that's chipping their way into the scene, and it is called bookshop.org. And this is a nonprofit organization that independent bookstores are members of. And they have a big platform, just like the other big guys. And when you buy a book through bookshop.org, your local bookstores actually get a percentage of that sale. Is that not awesome? Plus, I think it's once a year, they do a profit sharing with those local independent bookstores that are members of this organization. They get a profit sharing chunk. And that is just so amazing. And I just had no idea. Their prices are competitive with the other big booksellers. And even if they weren't competitive for me, the thoughts that my book purchase is helping a small business in my town, but I'm having the convenience of hitting a button and having it show up pretty quick, even though my book doesn't come out till March. But is that not the greatest thing ever? And again, it's just kind of like asking for reviews. People just don't know. And I feel like I love sharing about bookshop.org because people just don't know. So you can shop online easily and still support your local bookstore. And I would love for you to order Growing a Beautiful Life because it means more to me than you know. And it's $25. And if I've ever helped you in any way, people are always showing their gratitude to me and to the Gardener's Workshop, and we just love hearing that. And this is one way that you can affirm us and support us. And we'd love for you to pre-order the book. All right, my friends, I hope this helps your business and helps you be more comfortable in asking. So till we meet again, my friends, ciao.